Okay, this is probably a bad idea. Anyway, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is, let's see, 9th month, January, February, March. This is September 30th of 2022. And there is a change here that I have made. I added a new sound card. But a couple people, not very many, because I don't get that many comments. But a couple people, I'm not real happy with the audio. So I've been making changes to the audio situation, big time changes. And I'm using ManyCam as the recording source. What I did, I have disconnected my microphones, such as Elgato microphone, which is a USB one. I haven't really used this in a while, but here's the Blue Yeti USB microphone. See, what was I using? Oh, I think yesterday or the day before I hooked up my headset and used the microphone on that. And what I have done now is goes against what YouTubers, or at least YouTubers who are talking about their, some people just make YouTube videos and they've got it hooked up and that's what and they're not into the hardware. They're just into making the YouTube videos, I think. But there's a few of us that are constantly messing with our, of course, a lot of those people are reviewers, people who do reviews of tech stuff. So what I have done, which, all these people pretty much tell you, do not use a webcam to record your audio, get, better audio equipment. And I've used it all. Well, I was using, I was recording videos and making, even streaming before, you wouldn't believe the webcams and the audio and the stuff that, that I used and a few others used back then. The first camera that I remember that I got was it hooked to the RS-232 port. And things changed. What I have done now is I have a really nice camera, as you can see. The AVerMedia PW513. Nice camera. I've got a whole bunch of, Logitech Brio, which is, I have a whole bunch of cameras. What I have done is this is my webcam, the AVerMedia camera. It's a nice USB, and the video is really nice. And what got me thinking about this just a while ago was, I've had some complaints about, now my problem is my hearing is really bad. It's been messed up since I was like first grade. I can't hear certain high tones. I cannot hear them. I've got one of these steaming cookers. Let's see if you can see it over there. There it is, on top of the refrigerator. And when it cooks, it automatically shuts off. But it also sounds an alarm when your timer is done, I can't hear the timer. I've mentioned this several times. I've got it's back, let me see, where is it? I think I can't, it hurts to look. My arthritis so bad. And I've got one of these power supply things that can be powered by solar cells or whatever, but I have solar cells, but I can't, this is an apartment complex, but anyway, I have a power supply. And I've mentioned this before, when the battery needs to be charged up, an alarm goes off. And apparently it is extremely loud. I mean, painfully loud. I mean, loud. And when I found out about that, I'd never heard it. Well, I have never heard it. But it went off, and my ex-wife and my grown son and myself, we share this apartment, the expenses, whatever. It just happened to be in the other room, very close to my ex-wife's computer, and she was sitting there, and I was in here, and she was screaming. Now, I could hear her, but I could not hear any tones or anything. And so I went in there, and she was screaming, "Turn it off, stop it, what's that noise," or whatever. And I said, "Is there a noise?" And she was like, "Yeah, yes, there is, yeah, I'm screaming." And so so I pushed the button on, on it. I said, "Did that stop it?" "No, no." And I pushed another button. I said, "Did that stop it?" "Yes." So my hearing is bad. But so now I'm using this the AVerMedia camera and software to make this video. Oh, and what made me think of this, there was some complaints about the audio not being good, but it sounds pretty good. It's audio sounds pretty good to me because my hearing it's not just high tones, it's other things too. But I remember that when I've been making all these switches over the years or whatever, that with this, switching around out, then I'd find, wait a minute, where is it? Which sometimes, oh, wait a minute, the webcam, I would think it would be, okay, I'm, hooking up this or making changes or whatever, and then I would be, wait a minute, and then I would tap it or something, and no, let me do this, by the way, I would tap it or something, and nothing would happen. And then I wait a minute. Oh, it's my new USB webcam, the AVerMedia Cam 513, and then I would be thinking, hey, I made that video and it sounded pretty good, but USB webcams, you're not, the experts, all these people, the reviewers or whatever. Oh, no, you must have, a Blue Yeti, or you must have a certain, you have to have one of those. And then, of course, a lot of those are like, well, you must run it through, your soundboard and all that kind of stuff. I can't get into that. So what this is a test to see, and what I've done too to simplify everything is I normally have two cameras going. I've disconnected the other camera. So there's one camera, and that's also the microphone. So actually, dragging it around like this, I kind of like that. Because with the other one, I had the two cameras going. I tried, okay, this camera's here and this camera, But this is pretty good. The only thing better would be if I could remotely control it, which I've done with some software in the past. So I guess the question is, how do you like the audio from this camera? Uh, so I guess what I could do also is have a small, well, like this. See, there's a little, I could make that larger, I could on this other, so I would always have, because sometimes I'll do something like quote, do this, and then I think, wait a minute, oh, there's no, stuff like that. So I guess let me know what you think about the audio. I'm sure the video, is okay. I do like the idea of, keeping it simple. That's one thing I always, keep it simple. Uh, well, they've had one hell of a hurricane down in Miami. I spent 5 years there. There was, I think, three or four. I know there was at least three uh, hurricanes that we had down there, and and Kansas City, by the way, I didn't know anything about. I was working hospital security at a small hospital in Lee Summit, Missouri, and it. Let me go back to full screen. Working midnight shift, and it started raining really, really hard, and then and I went over and looked outside. Rain really, really coming down, and then a guy came to pick his wife got off. She was a switchboard operator. She got off at midnight, and he came in. Real nice people. And he came in and said, "Man, the rain is really, really coming down." I said, "Yeah, I was just over looking out the window." And he said something. He said, "Well, it just changed." And I said, "Well, well, we went over, and it was going sideways. The rain was going sideways." And I said, "Wow, I've never seen that." And by the way, I don't think I'd ever heard of a microburst. And keep in mind, by the way, that when I was in high school, I was in civil defense, Kansas City, Missouri civil defense. I was in the ground observer corps watching for Russian or for USSR or, bombers in Kansas City, Missouri, the, center part of the United States. Uh, I was also, well, when the ground observer corps did away with when they got their radar all working the way it should, and they didn't need us, and they did away with the ground observer corps, then we were trained as weather observers for Kansas City, Missouri area, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and then I worked hospital security for 30 years, and one of the things that when I was the first hospital I worked at, the nuns did not want to do much. Um, but at the hospital security, we had to watch for the weather also, and we had to go around and put on so that all the employees had to watch, a video on severe weather and what to do and how to handle it, and what our codes were, and that type of stuff. And so, I was working at this small hospital in Lee Summit, and the rain was going like that. And then I had my ham radio with me, and I could use my ham radio to communicate on the frequency of the main hospital corporation or whatever, which I almost never did. I mean, working at Lee Summit, I worked at all the hospitals, but I was also a Raymore Reserve police officer. I could get onto that frequency. I was also, when I worked for the 9 years at the Research Belton Hospital, uh, security out there, we were on this police frequency. Police department was kind enough to allow us on their frequency. And we didn't, well, I didn't. There was two of us working. The other guy, I think, did. And I didn't use that frequency unless I used it when guy showed up with a gun at the hospital, and a few other times, but very rarely, you know. But anyway, so trained as weather observers, the whole bit, everything. Um, so I heard when I was working at Lee Summit Hospital, I heard on the radio right when the rain was going sideways. Like, wow, you know. And then I heard Lee Summit say tornado warning. I forget the east or west or something. Lee Summit. And then I heard a call right away saying there's debris in the roadway from, you know, Lee Summit police officer or fire or somebody. And so I put the hospital in, you know, well, I had to get the permission of the who was in charge, which would be the head on midnights, the head nurse, you know, nurse executive, you know, and I had the switchboard over that call the, you know, nursing supervisor, please, and tell her we need to go into code gray. So she called, standing there, you know, when that nurse, the switchboard operator was getting ready to go home, you know, and her husband was right there. And the house supervisor said, I'll have Jim call the police department and ask what we should do. And I told the switchboard operator, you know, and of course the nurse on the phone could, you know, could hear too. I said, no, tell her, you know, we need to go into code gray. We need to go into code gray right now. And then, you know, the house supervisor said, okay, you know, so we went into code gray. And, well, there's more to the story, but the thing I wanted to get to was houses in Lee Summit, a whole bunch, were severely damaged. And it turned out we got a very few people, you know, injured, minor injuries. But rain was going, you know, on roof houses with, the, you know, you have the roof and then you have these vents at the, you know, at the top to let hot air out of the attic or the top underneath the water was going in that way, flooding places, doing a lot of damage. And so everybody was saying, of course, you know, well, tornado, you know, hit. And then the Weather Bureau, when they did their investigation, they said, no, it was a, what did I just say a while ago? Never can remember that. Not a downdraft. What was it? Well, anyway, that's what it was. So I've been in a can't remember. I've been in that. I've been in that situation, and I've been trained all those years actually as a weather observer and all that type of stuff. When they did away with when the Air Force did away with the Ground Observer Corps, or the Civil Defense, or whatever, and because we had trained people, you know, who were putting in hours up on top of at the Army Record Center, military base. You know, we had a pass, and on the roof we had a tower thing built that we would go up and stand and look for a Russian aircraft, you know. Well, I guess USSR aircraft at that time. Okay, this has only been 18 minutes, which usually it takes me 18 minutes just to tell you who I am and where I am. So I'm going to stop this and listen to the audio. You might tell me, especially if you're a regular here or something, might tell me, what do you think of the audio? It's coming from this webcam. And also, you might like my ability with this very small tripod to easily move this, you know, move this around. And it might give me a lot of, you know, options when I want to show you something or whatever. Say, but right now what I'm interested in is the audio. And I got a feeling it might work. Might be working well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.